Hello, everyone, and welcome in this all new episode of the Drone Pioneers podcast, People Do the Flying, a show that is dedicated to the people factor and the unsung heroes of the drone industry. Tonight with us, we have Mr. João Balola. I hope I pronounce this Portuguese name good enough. So, who is a former military in the special forces of Portugal, and one of the first people who was part of a team that integrated drones in the army and combined air operations. He will tell us more about that. And not only that, but he's a person that his involvement with drones gave him a job after the retirement. Who would have ever thought about that? But before drones, welcome, Mr. Balola, and we would like to know more about you. Before we start talking about the drones, we want to know the people.
Of course. So first of all, hello. Thank you very much for receiving me in your VODCAST. I'm really glad to be here and talking a little bit with some other people that are interested in this world of drones. What about me? Well, I'm 31 years old. Like you said, I'm a former military. I was in the armed forces in Portugal for 13 years. For the last couple of years, I was related to the drone world. And right now I'm living in Switzerland, still working with drones, not in the defense industry anymore, but still in the area. And I'm here to answer your questions and to talk a little bit about myself.
Well, how did you end up becoming a military guy? Were you, as a kid playing with weapons and decided to become a special forces guy? How did you become a special forces guy to begin with?
Of course. So my uncle, he was also in the Portuguese Rangers, and I've heard all the stories about it. And in the end of all the stories, it was always like, please never go there. They are all crazy people. And when you are a kid, you're like, why they say I shouldn't go there? So maybe I should go there.
Yeah.
So it was many stories, a lot of things. And then when I was 18 years old, I was like, yes, I'm going there. I always knew I would like to do something related with the armed forces, and end up being in the Portuguese Rangers.
So our first advice to parents: don't tell your children not to do something because they're going to do it.
Yeah. In this case, it was not my father; it was my uncle. But
So it was a tradition. It was a family tradition in some way.
Yeah, in some way. In fact, it was like a family tradition, and I end up going there because why not?
Yeah, obviously, why not? Yeah, so I'm sure that you have seen the army before the integration and the combinations with drones. And
Yes.
you've been there, you helped to set this up, and you saw, army before drones and army after drones.
Yes, and what I can tell is that it's a big difference, and all those new technologies, especially the drone-related technologies, they are evolving very fast. And in the Portuguese armed forces, it was a great thing because we could make eye contact, let's call it like that, before our boots on the ground were there.
Okay.
So like this, we can save a lot of time, a lot of lives, a lot of everything. So it was a good integration. All the ground forces really like to have aerial surveillance. Everybody likes to have, awareness of what's gonna be around the corner, what's gonna be around the mountain. So this was very good for the Portuguese army. Unfortunately, we still don't have the big boys like the Predator and the Reaper and all those things. But with the ones we have, we can do a really good job, and it's very good for the people on the ground to have that safety net with them.
Was it easy to bring the idea? Was it easy for people to listen to the idea, or there was, people were doing what they were used to do and didn't want to change?
So who bring the idea was the generals, of course, right? They are always the guys that come with the ideas.
Really?
But well,
But usually somebody pitches the idea to the generals, and then they take the credit.
Let's say yes. Let's say it was their idea.
Okay.
Usual, right? You know
Yeah.
what I'm talking about. Well, the integration in the armed forces, it's always difficult because people are used to the old ways, the old school, and when something new comes, it's like, we were doing this without that new technology. Why we need it? It's more things that will get broken. It's more job. It's more logistic stuff. Maybe we don't need them. But then okay, now we will send one team. Oh, okay, that's okay. But maybe we don't need two teams. And then it's like, okay, maybe we need two teams now. And things evolve slowly because it's like the old school when they meet the new school, and things take time. But when they happen with a good amount of certainty, which is good.
Okay. So yeah, and the thing is that drones are evolving. So today, even commercially available drones and not high-tech solutions can be used. We see that all the time in the modern warfare, in modern in the fronts around the world. They take a DJI and they do reconnaissance and whatever.
I think that me personally, sometimes low tech, it's also good tech. Okay. Because sometimes the low tech solutions can save you a lot of problems that the high tech solutions cannot. So, and like you said, we see this now. Somebody goes in the, let's call it supermarket, buys a drone and puts a grenade on it, and now it's a weapon. Yeah. That's kind of a low-tech technology.
But a couple of days ago, I saw a video, it was a news feed about Mexican drug cartels having their own, air force, which it was just drones with, commercially available drones with explosives. And that's it. That's all they need.
Yes, and they still use them for transportation of drugs and all those things. So they can be used for good and they can be used for bad. And like in the military, as long as you have a good imagination, everything is possible, either with high tech, with low tech. And like I said, sometimes high tech, it's easy to jam, and low tech, it's very hard to jam. It's better to have a cable phone to connect the forces on the terrain, because nobody can jam that unless they cut the wire, then have a wireless radio. Yeah. So, it's always a compromise.
And sometimes low tech is going to be that much cheaper that you can buy so many pieces of them, instead of high tech.
Exactly. So, it's about to read the terrain and read the enemy, well, in this case, and read what we can do with the most efficiency. And sometimes the most efficiency, it's to save money and, not efficiency, but because we'll spend some other resources. But you understand what I mean. Sometimes we need to see what's better, and sometimes low tech is better.
Okay, and drones started to come in the life of the Portuguese army, and you have seen both Portuguese army and Portuguese Air Force.
Correct.
What are the differences in the mentality between the army and the Air Force?
Well, that's a tricky one. So the Air Force was always around air stuff, right? That's why the name Air Force. So airplanes, helicopters, doesn't matter. They have all that airmen and air crew mentality. So implementing a new technology for them, it's easy. Sometimes they have some, let's call it some resistance, because nobody is flying inside the plane. So for some pilots, it's like, they are stealing our job. It's not the case.
These things are going to replace us. Yes.
Yeah.
That's what they think.
But the drones as a unit came later than in the army to the Air Force, but the learning curve was exponential compared to the army. So in the first year of implementing the drone capability in the Air Force, it grew really fast, because all the things, all the structure was there. Now they received let's call it the item, and they grew. And in the army, it's it's still a process, because there are some things that we need to change mentalities from old school to new school. And sometimes it's difficult to explain to somebody that, look, this is not a toy. This is an aircraft. I know it's small, but it's an aircraft, because we are on operations and there is an helicopter there, and there is an airplane that is flying low. So we need to treat this as an aircraft, because we might create an incident or an accident, and people can get injured. So things in the army sometimes take time, and in the Air Force are much easier.
Well, one of the things that I have seen through my involvement with the Air Force is that, okay, let's say like this, the Air Force is a more scientific force than the Army. But one of the main reasons for that is that usually the officer in the Air Force is one who will actually, operate the plane and will go and get himself killed. Usually in the Army, the officer is the one who will order, the troops to go and get killed. And this creates mentality. I'm not bashing the army. It's how things operate. So this creates a different mentality in many levels.
Yes, that's 100% correct. You still have some officers in the army that go in the terrain with us.
Yeah.
But
most of the time, the higher the officer,
Yeah. Actually, that was one of the reasons that I choose to be a sergeant. It's because I wanted to be in the field with the men, and I wanted to be there for them. So, you can lead by example, you can lead by being with them, and not lead by sitting on the chair and writing some books. So it's somehow true what you said. Not all officers are sitting in a desk.
For sure.
Some of them really like to come in the field, but in general, it's how you explain it.
Yeah. And okay, so since you've been part of the setting up all this process, you are not just an operator. You are a guy who knows how can an operation like this be built and be run from zero all the way to the sky. So this makes you not just an operator, but a diverse professional. One of the things that I've been saying for some time is that for people who fly a drone and they want to be involved in the drone business, after some time, it's not going to be enough to be just a drone operator. You will have to be a drone operator and a businessman, a drone operator and a mechanic, a drone operator and something else. What do you think about that?
So I agree in part on what you said. I just don't agree that you should be a drone pilot and a mechanic, because
it's a matter of, it's a figure of speech.
Yeah. But grabbing that example specific, I know some companies do in fact that.
Okay.
That you are a pilot and a mechanic. I honestly don't agree with that approach, because there is no redundancy in the job.
Okay.
So you will service your own aircraft and then you will fly it. So
does this mean that they simply cut jobs?
Well, maybe they think for their operation it's more efficient. I don't know. I don't know what's the reason behind it. But honestly, personally, I don't agree with that approach. But I'm not the owner of that company. That I'm not going to say which company it is. But I don't agree with that approach actually. But in the rest, I completely agree in what you said, because you cannot always be just the pilot. You need to be more than that. You need to be the pilot. If you work, let's say, in the civilian world, you will be the pilot, you will be the businessman, you will be sometimes a little bit of the training manager for some things. If you are long enough in the company, you will be person in charge to deal with the clients, to be in touch with the customer. So you need to be something else. And
a jack of all trades, specialized in some fields more, but not just a drone operator.
Of course. And in the armed forces is the same. You can be an excellent pilot, but you will not fly every day all the time. You need to do something else. So you need to be adaptable and flexible. I think that's what makes a great professional, is adaptability and flexibility. And if the technology keep evolving, the drones will be more autonomous.
Okay.
I mean, while we are still alive, and probably in our generation and a little bit probably the next, things will not be fully automated.
Okay.
Not because of the technology, but probably because of regulation. So you'll always have to have somebody behind all those systems, making sure that, okay, this is not going to end up in losing lives. So we need to evolve with the system, not to be just a pilot, to understand the principles of flight and all those things, but try to go with the evolution of the field and not get stuck in, oh, now I'm a pilot, I'm the best FPV pilot in the world, that's what I'm gonna do. Yeah, but
and few years from now, AI picks up FPVs and that's it, you're done, you have no job to do.
Exactly. So you need to adapt with the times, and this world brings your imagination again to the table, so you can improve and give hints for developing new stuff.
Okay, and how was your evolution from a military guy with UAVs jumping to the private sector with UAVs, drones? Okay, when we say drones or UAVs, it's not the same thing, but it's the same family. That's why I will be using the term,
Yeah. So I started with the smaller drones in the army with around 2-meter wingspan, rough numbers. I really enjoy it because I really like field operations, and that UAV, it's really good for that because you are close to the troops on the ground. You are with them. You are going everywhere with them. So you are really close to where the real things are happening. And I enjoy that because you can use your imagination to solve a lot of problems.
And tell us a story, like what?
Okay, so let me see. Okay, so we were on this exercise once, and it was getting dark, and I had to fly with infrared camera. But all the people involved in the exercise, they knew that would be aircraft in the air, so they were hiding, right? But humans have this curiosity thing. So I was flying and I was saying, how can I make them go out? So this aircraft, we could turn off the engine and turn on the engine again.
Okay.
So I knew where the people were because I could see the vehicles, but I could not count how many people were there.
Okay.
So I turned off the engine. The aircraft was gliding and going down, and then full throttle engine and climbing up. And they were curious, like, oh no, the drone is crashing or something. So everybody got out of the vehicle.
Were popping out to see what's happening. Yeah.
I took pictures of all of them, count how many people were there. It was for me, it was funny because it was so simple. They all came out and they were like, now
you played with human psychology. Yes, you used your tools and you played with human psychology. Yeah, that's
so you see, it's about imagination. Sometimes it's a really low tech, I mean, in a really simple solution, but it worked. They went out and I count them and accomplish the reconnaissance mission in this case. So, and a lot of things can be done like this. And I always like to plan the mission, to think what the other person will think that we will do, so the cat and mouse game.
Okay.
This was what I was really enjoying in the armed forces, the cat mouse game.
Okay.
Like, he's going to do this, but if you do this, I'm going to do that. And it's a constant thinking, a constant planning, and I really enjoy that. But as you know, that doesn't happen every day. That doesn't happen every time. So you need to manage expectations. And then it came this opportunity to go in the Air Force for the first joint course with all the branches of the armed forces for having a pilot course, a remote pilot course. It was the first time that it was taught to all the branches. I went there with another comrade and friend, actually a really close friend of mine. We went to that course and we learned a lot of things that we didn't knew about the Air Force and all those things that the Army is not so much aware of. So we did this course for 3-4 months. Then we did this like kind of type rating on the Air Force aircraft, and we start doing different kinds of mission with bigger aircrafts. So instead of a crew of 2 people, we start having a crew of 5, and things start to evolve to be a little bit more serious, not so much, like operational in the sense that we were close to the people on the ground, but different things, Air Force kind of things.
Yeah.
And so that's pretty much how things evolved. And then we had this amazing crew in the Air Force. The squadron was great. We had really amazing people working together, and everybody could bring something to the table, and that was great. It was the last couple of years that I worked with those people. It was amazing because the great team can accomplish great stuff, and we really accomplished great.
Because if everybody's bringing something to the table, the whole team evolves, the whole team progresses.
And we were having a squadron commander that I told him this already, because he's also not in the armed forces anymore. He was the best leader I've ever had, and he was a former fighter pilot.
Okay.
He bring a lot to the table, and he taught us a lot of things, and he came with a really open mind, and his words were, I don't like UAVs because I like fighter jets, but this is my squadron now, so we will become a family. We will accomplish great things together. And in the years that we were there together, all those words were true. Okay. He brought a lot to the table. He taught us a lot of things, and I think he probably doesn't admit it still, but he started enjoying a little bit of UAVs.
Hook me up with him. I can call him in my podcast. He will have something to say.
I can send him a message, and maybe, who knows?
Maybe, who knows? Okay. And I understand that then at some point, came the point where you retired.
Well, kind of, yes. I mean, retired, if I decided I could retire only when I was 65 years old or something, and master sergeant, but I thought that for me it was the end of the road, because you have some goals in your life, you have some mindset, and when you are feeling that the place where you are, it's not going with your mindset, it don't become part of the problem. And if you cannot become part of the solution, just go somewhere where you can be part of the solution. Just never become part of the problem. So I left. And in the meantime, I found a job in Switzerland. Then that company didn't end up good, and I changed to another company, the company that I am now. And
do you actually miss Portugal?
Well, yes, but how can I say? I'm a little bit like a wild animal.
Okay.
So, and sometimes I'm a little bit too much of a cold person. So I miss Portugal, yes, but we need to see life as it is. And in Switzerland and in the job that I'm doing now, life can be much different than it was in Portugal. So in some sense, I miss it, but in some other sense, I'm really happy here. I like what I'm doing. I like how life is developing here. So it's a mixed feeling.
Yeah, it's a balance. And what company are you now with? What is the field? What are you doing now with your company?
So I'm working in this company called Voliro, aerial robotics. We produce drones for non-destructive testing in the industrial field. So we perform contact-based inspections. So our drone, unlike the others, we don't have sense and avoid, because we actually want to touch the materials.
Okay.
And the good thing of our drone is that we can fly pitching 90 degrees up, pitching 90 degrees down, all the degrees in between. We can apply 30 newtons of force on the surfaces. And there is no other company in the world that can do this as good as we do, in the way that we do. And I'm a UAV pilot and customer success engineer.
Okay.
And I help customers. I teach courses to customers, and I'm there when the customer has a problem. I can
And
tell.
you operate worldwide?
Yes, I've been in Spain. Now I will go in Brazil, UK. We have operations all around the world, from Australia to Alaska. So
Make sure you post more content on LinkedIn, because content is currency these days. Promote yourself and your company.
well, I'm not a big fan of social networks.
Yeah.
So sometimes I just don't. I keep things very private. So, but
But
you're right.
another time you have told me that you need to be your company's ambassador. And I don't, I think these days the best way to be an ambassador is that,
Well,
for better or for worse.
but for me, being an ambassador, it's about connecting to people.
Okay.
And for me, the best way to connect to people is face to face.
Okay.
And connecting to people like via LinkedIn. Hi, how are you? Have you ever seen our product in action? I like, to go on expositions. I like to go on demonstrations and talk with the client and show them real thing, real people, and bring them close to the operation. Because I think when people are together, things are much easier. And sometimes on social networks, everybody, at least I'm always suspicious what's the intent behind.
What is he trying to sell me?
Exactly. And when people are together, look, even if I don't sell you nothing, come, I have something really interesting to show you. Even if you don't buy, even if you don't say, hey, I really don't like it, but I can see the benefits of it. So, and in the end, if you don't get the customer, maybe you get a friend, maybe you get somebody that one day you'll give a call. Hey, look, I'm in Alaska. You want to pay me a beer? So it's about human interaction and about human connections.
And the human factor, yeah.
Yeah, those are very important. Those are very important. And sometimes a good customer will come, maybe because you don't have the best service in the world, like your product is not the best, not this case, because we have the best product in the world. But sometimes even if you don't have the best product in the world, customer will come because I really like to talk with João. It was really nice to be with him. So let me give him an opportunity. And those things are important. And that's how, in my opinion, that's how you should be an ambassador, with human connections, not like virtual connections, because human connections are always better.
Okay, so what are your ambitions for the future? You are at the place you are at the level you are, but how do you see yourself and the industry 5 years from now?
So I can say about myself, kind of, about the industry. I honestly don't know, because things in this industry evolve so fast that sometimes it's hard to keep up. Probably there is some incubator somewhere around the world that they develop something really nice, and in a couple of months we will be like, wow, how nobody never thought about this. So sometimes it's hard to understand how things will evolve, and how the artificial intelligence will bring something to the table. So sometimes honestly, for me, it's hard to understand how things will evolve, especially in the civilian world, because in the military or in the defense industry, things tend to evolve slower, because they need to be reliable. They need to be, let's say, robust, strong, and tested. And sometimes in the civilian world, things evolve a little bit faster, because
somebody is taking a gamble, invests, and maybe it pays off, maybe
Exactly. So I honestly cannot answer you, because I would not give you a correct answer. And I honestly don't know. I think the drone industry as itself will evolve towards more automation, towards more integration with artificial intelligence, and we'll have many applications, but I honestly don't know how.
Okay.
Like I said, I've been in the defense industry for a long time. I'm still new to the civilian applications, so there is some things I need to discover, and I think that's pretty much what I can add to this part.
Okay.
Regarding to myself, well, that's also a difficult question, because I'm experimenting now this new field. I kind of miss sometimes the defense industry, because all the things I explained you, the imagination to solve problems, the operations, the test flying where you're gonna fly an aircraft, and it's like, I hope it ends up well. But if it doesn't end up well, what can we do? You live a little bit more under stress, and sometimes I like live under that stress. I think that stress is important because it makes you grow and makes you evolve on things and procedures. But in 5 years, I don't know. Probably I would like to lead some group of pilots. We try to pass my knowledge to the new pilots, be in charge of, if I'm still in the same company, which I hope so, to be in charge of a group of clients, to develop some region that I can, like a region in the world that I can focus myself. And now I'm responsible for this region. I will develop the efforts for developing the drone in that region and make things stronger and better, and also make the procedures more robust.
Okay. Can you actually imagine yourself having your own business? Because you told me you sometimes you miss the stress, and I think nothing would be more stressful than having your own business.
Well, if I had my own business, I would not have it alone. I would have it with that great team of people that I told you that I was working with, and all the good guys that we are still very close friends. They left also the armed forces, and if I could grab all of them and assemble again the A team, we could have not just me, but we could have a company together, and I believe we could accomplish a lot of things. Well, with the right investment and investors, we could accomplish a lot of things, because I know that civilian companies that work in defense wish they knew what we know and to operate the way we know how to do it. So if that team one day could be together and doing what some civilian defense companies are doing, we could achieve great stuff.
Okay, so you've seen drones or UAVs for military purposes, and you see drones for civilian purposes with the companies that you have worked. Which line of work appeals more to you? The military usage of drones or the civilian usage of drones?
Well, you are asking about civilian use for defense purposes, or
not necessarily from your experiences, from what you have done.
Okay, so from what I've done, I really like the military purpose UAVs. I really like it, because all the things I explained you, and also because military regulations can be more flexible in what concerns airspace and everything. So things can happen better and faster. And in the civilian world, it takes things, those things take a little bit more time, because regulations are a little bit tight and they are a little bit gray, because the regulators still don't know what to do.
Bureaucrats that most of the time don't know anything about the subject.
Exactly. So things evolve in that area. In the civilian world, they evolve slowly, and you have a lot of regulations that don't make sense, and a lot of them that should make sense, but they are not applied. So that's why I actually miss the military operations. But well, it was not possible anymore.
Yeah. That's very, very interesting. Okay, anything you would like to point interest to? Any subject that you would like to make people think about drones? Anything that you don't listen people talking about regarding with the drone industry, and you would like to have people think about?
Well, I think people look at drones too much on at least the general population look at drones too much on focusing too much on collecting images, collecting, visual data. But drones are much more than that. And the company that I'm working for, they saw that. All those really smart guys that founded the company and came with this idea, they saw more than that. They saw a robot that could fly. and people should see other applications on drones behind beyond the visual.
The artistic
Exactly.
videos and photos.
Because there is a lot of places that we put humans now in danger, in heights, in toxic environments, and everything. We need to send somebody there to do something, and we could use drones to do a lot of things, right? Our drone, the one we fly now, we prevent people from going in really high places to be subject to, I don't know, a lot of danger. We can take the danger from the profession. We don't need to steal the job from the person. We can teach them how to fly, and now they can do their job and being sure that they will go home tonight. So that's what we should look at for drones, to make sure that in the end of the day, everybody will go home. So remove the danger activity from some job. And that's what we should look at. Not just, let's put this amazing camera, let's put this, I don't know, a LiDAR or radar or whatever. Let's make this work so people can be safer.
That's very well. People within the industry understand that, but what I see, especially from civilians, either they disregard it at all, they don't really pay attention, or they demonize it. I see those two sides of the spectrum.
Yeah, like, I'm going to lose my job now. The drones will come and I will not have a job anymore.
Or they don't pay attention at all to what a drone is. They just see a toy and that's it.
Exactly. So I think there's a lot of areas that drones can grow. People just need to have imagination.
Okay. So before we wrap it up, how can people reach to you? You're on LinkedIn. How else people can reach you?
I'm on LinkedIn, and I used to say that LinkedIn is the only social network that can bring you a job, therefore can bring you money. So people can reach.
That's true. Yeah.
So people can reach me on LinkedIn. I'm always available. I'm always up to new connections. I will always answer people's messages. So feel free to reach me there. Anything I can do to help, any question, any curiosity, just anybody can feel free and message me. We can have a nice conversation. And if they are close to Switzerland, we can go grab a coffee and talk about drones a little bit as well.
Okay, that's very nice. Thank you for your appearance on this podcast. And to the people who saw this video, I hope it was beneficial more than anything else. I hope it will challenge you and it will make you think and choose a direction and go for it. That's all for now. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.